So here we are, finally with a new camera, taking a video in the night, spheres and mushrooms. Okay, and what we have here is a pink sphere, hot pink, nice one, and a blue sphere that's not quite as clear, and some mushrooms that are not clear hardly at all. This one's pretty clear. Whoops. And they're sitting on, little cubic crystal stands. And they glow in the red, the mushrooms do, but not so much in the blue. They just don't light up. They don't respond to the blue. And the blue sphere over here does actually respond to the blue real well. And that's because it is blue. Well, it's not actually blue. It's the planes of cleavage in the stone are half the size of that particular shade of blue. And the mushrooms are silicon carbide, I believe. They are 10 on the Mohs scale of hardness. They're giving off beta emissions from carbon-14, but the blue light is smaller than the planes of cleavage in the crystal structure, and so it kind of bounces off. It's in there doing things, but not very far and not very much. It does some cool stuff, though. I mean, look at that. And the stands on the bottom are, of course, diamond, also crystal carbon. Clear. And carbon all by itself is clear, like my pink sphere here. Whoa, isn't that cool? Man, I mean, that is pretty cool. And it does all kinds of stuff. People, think these crystals are magic or something, and there's some physics involved rather than magic, actually. And I like the structure of my little mushrooms here. They're the same stuff with silicon added. As the mix cools, molten rock cools, carbon is the first thing to precipitate out. And then silicon carbide starts. And the silicon is vaporous at that point in time. But the planes of cleavage, which is what create that chatoyancy in there, are open enough that the vapor of silicon can pass through, and they are attracted to each other. So, because they're in the same column of the periodic table, they are semi-metals, carbon and silicon. So they form together, and most of the silicon in our environment is tied up in this stuff here, silicon carbide, and that's what's creating those planes of cleavage. You can see them in there. Are what is creating that chatoyancy. These guys, Starfire stealth red mushrooms, and the perfect design for a Starfire dirigible, are also silicon carbide. They are 10 on the Mohs scale of hardness, like a diamond, or like a diamond. Huh? This is a diamond. And I get them to hold my spheres. Cool, huh? I paid $5 for 5 of them on eBay. Far out, man. So some of these are actually kind of translucent, and they call this stuff agate. And you can keep calling it agate. It doesn't matter, man. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's the same stuff, and it's 10 on the Mohs scale of hardness. And it has silicon and carbon, and that's why it lights up like that. But it doesn't light up in the blue. It would probably respond to green if I could find my green laser, but I can't. So anyway, my phone seems to be working at this point in time. Here's the other thing. I hold my spheres on these little plastic cup things, and I'm seeing if I could decorate them a little bit, make them look a little better, but I don't know. I love this wire. This is palladium wire, AUPD, and there's actually some gold in there too. And I use it for everything in my shop, just everything. And it's interesting because I have somewhere around here. Where did I put it? I made my paper towel bone, and Dr. Punkin likes these, so we call them bones in our house. I put some Gorilla Glue on there and kept to keep the wire in my coil from touching itself. So that I can, run a current from one side to the other. And when I check the resistance across my AUPD wire, this is what a paper towel bone sounds like and looks like. This is not quite solid. It will be when I get the inside done. But it's like metal now. And this is permanently bonded to it with that Gorilla Glue. And a little AUPD dust. And when I check the resistance from one end of my wire to the other end of my wire, I get an initial reading of a negative number. It has less than 0 resistance. it then goes back to showing an open circuit as though there wasn't anything there. It doesn't show any resistance at all. It's a room temperature superconductor. Carbon also is a room temperature superconductor for magnetism. So I can put a magnet on the bottom of this and put a magnet on the top of this, and it'll sit there in the magnetic field. Whoops, fuck. I meant to do that. Okay. Anyway, and the I can put a magnet on one side of here and one side of here, and it'll just sit there, and I can turn it upside down, and it's not sticking to the carbon, but it'll float there just fine. So this is what I do for fun. I play. Since I've been bedridden for like almost 10 years. I have been bedridden 10 years. I get up and make brief forays out into the real world and come back and yell, ow, 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 for a while. So this is what I've been doing for fun and trying to find out what makes things work. And this is how you do it. You take pictures. Because my camera doesn't lie. No, I don't have enough hands at the moment to show you this, but I will, I promise.